have been living for 8 years in China, and in this video I'm gonna tell you my 10 reasons why I love living in China. For this video, I'm not alone. I have asked the help of my friend.
Hi, what's up everyone? Martina here. Welcome along Sab.
So Martina is gonna help me here because I wanted this video not only to give my perspective and my opinion, but also maybe have the opinion of somebody who's also been living in China a little bit less than me, just to compare a little bit of how we feel and why it is so surprising to live here. This video is for those who are thinking about traveling in China or thinking of moving to China, whether it's for studying or for work. And disclaimer, the Shanghai city is known to be a very international city, so what I'm about to say may not apply to all the other city or small tier city, but it will give you a general idea of what I love about living in China and what you might like about living in China as well if you are thinking of moving here. The first thing I think that struck me the most when I moved to China back in 2015 was how safe it is to live here. Especially as a woman, it can be unsafe sometimes to just walk out on the street or even late night in the evening, and I was amazed of how safe I felt living here. I cannot tell you guys how many times I have gone home very drunk, very late after a crazy night out with my friends and happily went back home with nothing happening to me. On the top of that, I would say being a foreigner probably is also another factor, because don't get me wrong, there are some crazy things happening here and there, and you hear it sometimes in the Chinese social media or on WeChat, but you rarely have issue as a foreigner living here and feeling unsafe. This is the country of big brothers, so there are cameras everywhere. And I would say that as a person who has lived here for 8 years, I have seen the evolution of how more safe it has become. But actually, when I moved in 2015, I was here for an internship, and literally 2 days after I moved here, I was not even in my new apartment yet. I was living in a hostel and I was on my way to my work. I was listening music with my phone, and back then it was still like the earphones attached to your phone. I was walking on the street and on my way to the metro station, and I got my phone stolen while I was listening to the music and walking on the street. Looking back and now seeing how having all these cameras all around, having the social system has truly changed the society in a way that now you can put your phone on the table and nobody's gonna steal it. I'm not saying that you still cannot be careful, but I know that once I leave China, and sometimes when I go to France, I don't think about these things. So there's like the stealing party, I don't think about that because people really don't care. And I think because of like all these cameras being around, there are less chances for you to feel unsafe and you feel protected. So yeah, that's the first thing that I love about living in China. The second thing, and Martina also will agree with me, the convenience of life. China has one of the best transportation system. Like, just look at the Shanghai map, how easy it is to access to so many places. On the top of that, you have cheap taxis and cheap buses.
How often you take a bus, you rent a bike, you take a subway. Even, I know it will not be public, but if you're taking taxi, it's so cheap that it's just insane. You want to go for the subway, for a bus, you pay like 2 kwai, which is such a like low price itself. Even comparing to Poland, like before I moved out, the normal ticket for the bus would be already maybe like 10 kwai or more. This is something that I love. I use the public transportation super often. I tend to bike right now much more, but public transportation and the prices, thank you government.
I won't say the same though about the flights. It really depends, because sometimes I feel like it's cheaper to fly out than actually fly in China, but it really depends on the season and if there are holidays or not. And I think it's more maybe Martina's turn to share some stuff about how convenient it is.
Waimai, which is just delivery food. We have Uber Eats, we have like we have DoorDash, we have other things, right? But I think that like Waimai here, like the delivery here with the foods, it's running 24 hours, really crazily cheap. Of course, you can kind of go up, go down with the prices, but I think it's still relatively cheap price for Shanghai as it is and for the quality in Shanghai that you usually get. So I love this man. They're always fast as heck. Sometimes I am afraid of this or like of the when they're on the scooters, but I gotta admit that yeah, this is one of the highlights, and I probably use it daily or at least like bi-weekly. I think maybe like yeah, for sure, like more often than bi-weekly. Taobao is something, as you can see, probably as AliExpress, it belongs to the AliExpress itself, so like to Alibaba. They have a lookup. You can look it up from the images. So if you see some girl walking in a cute top, instead of kind of, you know, trying to figure out what the keywords, you can just kind of, you know, on the side, like take a photo and check like right away the things will show up, and then with the same kind of listings. And I'm like, excuse me, like the life is this easy? You know, like China is the factory of the world. Lots of clothes are being made here, so actually the things are much cheaper here. I think I am the most frequent buyer from all of my all of the people like that are living with me, all of my like few roommates. Yeah, this might be an issue. I may need some intervention, but this is what I love. Dianping is something, let's say, like travel advisor and like Google reviews connected. It's for me, this is, even though I don't speak Chinese well, this is the mystery chest that whatever I open, I always get something cool. They give you all of the restaurants, all of the bars, all of the shops, all of the beauty salons, all of the spa, all of the like the, you know, like the tourist attractions. Everything is there, as well as like some events that are going on. You can see the reviews from the people, you can see the the scores. You can also obviously give the reviews yourself. Moving on,
sending stuff is so easy. You don't even have to go to the post office. Everything comes to your door, and that's how crazy and convenient it is. All I need is my phone, and I can do literally everything with my phone. I pay with WeChat and Alipay. I pay my phone bills through the mini program as well. The fact this thing is my everything, I don't even carry cash anymore. I barely use browsers when I need to do something. I mostly go through either the mini programs, whether it is Martina mentioned Dianping, whether it is Waimai, Erlama or Meituan. I have been spoiled living in China. Like, it's just so easy. Every time that I need something, I take my phone, I look for it, or I ask someone on WeChat if they have a contact, because WeChat is like the big thing here. WeChat is a mix of Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp and Twitter, and on the top of that, like, it's a form of, it's also your wallet where you like your online payment banking. You can pay anywhere with WeChat, so you don't need to carry cash.
I think the availability of the services here, normally, okay, again, speaking from the Polish point of view, right, our shops on Sundays, they're closed. I think that Waimai, like all of this like delivery food is just amazing. Like all of the shops that are being usually open until long. As a customer, I think that this is so great because it makes my life flow more easier. I think I'm getting more things done. I hope that at some point in Poland, you know, like it will be happening too. Let's see, but yeah, it will be a good life.
Okay, another thing that I love in China, and I cannot not talk about it, is the food. If you love food, you will not get bored traveling around and discovering the various food that lies from one province to another.
And I moved in here and I was like, yo, like Chinese food is not the Chinese food. It's you know, it's the Cantonese food, it's the Sichuanese food, it's the food from Yunnan and so on. There are so many different parts of China that have amazing food. Everything tastes so different too. So it's really like the whole new journey of the flavors that you have to go through.
I am actually grateful to live in Shanghai because I have the privilege to access to all these different types of cuisine within one city. So if you're, I guess it's another point in the convenience part. So not only you can already explore the various taste buds of the Chinese cuisine, but also China has a great catalog of international food as well. One thing you should absolutely try here is also Chinese street food. Sadly, in Shanghai, the amount of street vendors has tremendously decreased, but gosh, I remember back in 2015 and for like how great it was to have all these street vendors around while you were like drinking out with your friends and out with your friends. Before, I didn't really think that I knew what Chinese cuisine was until I moved to China, and I think a lot of us are like this, and I get now why people are saying that the cuisine, the Chinese cuisine that is available in most countries is not real Chinese cuisine, because actually like what is out of China is not a true representation of the variety that is in China. I think it is obvious then that I bounce on the next point, which is the diverse culture.
China is again so freaking big, and it gives you so many travel spots, and I think you can never really say, yeah, I've seen it all, because there is so many places. It's just insane what they have as the heritage, how old the whole culture is, and yeah, how many different things you can see.
Each region has its own culture, and I think I've noticed that when I have been to the further south in Senya, and so each culture and each region, they have their own tradition, and also the architecture just in general is so different from one place to another. The Yunnan region, for example, has this combination of Thai Laos culture but also the Tibetan culture, whereas the northern part of China, close to Harbin, has a preeminent Russian combination culture. Moving to China has not bored me in the options to travel, whether it is see the terracottas in Qing'an or the Great Wall in Beijing. If you love traveling, just traveling within China is going to be an absolute pleasure. The last thing that I want to mention is probably the opportunities. Back in 2015, as a student who was about to graduate, I knew it was going to be difficult to find a job back in France, at least the kind of job that I had in mind, because, and let me know in the comments if it's the same in your country, but in France, if you want to have a decent job, you need to get at least a master. But the thing is, when you graduate from a master and you get into the working world, you find out that even if you have a master degree, you're not the only one, and they also prioritize those who have work experience as well. Now, what I did not expect is how easy it was here for me to find a job back in 2015. The easiest job you can find as a foreigner, and in most Asian countries, is to be an English teacher. The salary is very decent. It comes with a lot of advantages. In some region, they give you housing allowances, you get travel allowances, transportation allowances, some meal allowances. And on the top of that, because the cost of life here is relatively cheap compared to other countries because of the cheap transportation and the cheap food, the salary for a foreigner is quite decent enough that allows you to live here a very comfortable life. I have done so many different jobs here. I'm not bound to one specific industry. I have worked in the educational industry, I have worked in the food and beverage industry, obviously in business and marketing because that's my field of work. And before I went back to education because of COVID and because I wanted a safety in my job, I was actually working in the tourism industry. I had the opportunity to explore different working environment, from a startup company to actually a huge Chinese conglomerate's corporate company. So I really had the chance within these 8 years living in China to understand better what kind of life I want and what kind of working environment is best for me, because if I compare it to France, it's more difficult to bounce from one job to another, whereas in China they're looking more at your qualification and what you're capable of. These were our 10 things that we love about living in China, and also I would love to hear also your thought of what you think of everything that I've shared. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Let's just chat more in the comments. The next video that I'll be releasing will be about the 10 things that I don't love about China, that I actually hate about living in China. So make sure to stick around. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you will know when the next video is coming up. And yes, I think that's it for me. Thank you again, guys, for watching.
Thanks, guys, so much for checking out this video.
And I'll see you in the next video.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.